We're proud to present our next speaker from one of Sweden's yet finest companies, Mr. Alex Sayed, Vice President Corporate Development at Alfa Laval.
Thank you very much.
The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's nice to talk to an audience that may have actually heard of Alfa Laval, which is good. So there's a lot of Swedish people here. So hopefully that's a good start. Well-known company, I guess, in a way, but I guess you could also say a little bit of a traditional engineering type of company. You know, I wouldn't go as far as just metal bashing, but you wouldn't think of Alfa Laval really as the big digital change maker or big sort of future place you'll find everything new happening. But we're trying to do our best. And what I'm doing is, excuse my voice a little bit, but so I'm head of strategy business development, you can say. So, I mean, we work with obviously a strategy cycle. And when we went back a few years, 2016, we came to the normal strategy process. And we said, okay, well, where do we go? You know, what are the key markets? What products, what technologies are coming? And then there were two things that just kept coming up from everything. All the little workshops we did, it was like, kept coming up. Sustainability and digitalization. This was it, 2016. I said, oh God, we're going to have to deal with this now. Can't we just carry on doing it? You know, no. So we have to deal with this. The trouble is, how do you deal with it? Because you can't do a 5-year plan and say, okay, we're going to do this. There's plenty of people who've done that and got caught out. It's changing every week, every month, every 6 months. It's all changing. So how do you get going? What do you do? Sustainability, I think, was a little bit easier for us. But we have this situation where we say we have kind of a foot in both camps. It's not, both these changes are not existential for our company. We haven't got something that's going to destroy us within a few years. But it could be death by 1,000 cuts, quite easily. So we say we have a foot in both. We're still going to have a business which is, you know, automation as opposed to digital. We're still going to have a business which is in the old world of, you know, hydrocarbons and stuff like that. But we're moving slowly to another world, and we need a foot in that world too. And that's where you start to have renewable energy and a new future energy scenario, and you also have a circular economy and there's no waste and all this type of thing. And that changes our business dramatically, really dramatically. If you spend all your business supplying oil rigs and power stations, well, if they're not there anymore, it's kind of disruptive. So we've got to deal with that. We've got circular economy, which is good. Then we've got the whole data analytics and artificial intelligence coming along, and then we have the whole digital solutions coming along. And this, again, it's not going to kill Alfa Laval, but wouldn't it be better to be ahead of it than following it? So that's kind of where we are. I would say when you have this, you probably talk about this, and you probably will continue to talk about this. It does need a change of mindset, though, to do this, because what you've got is the first. Well, we're a big engineering company, we set in our ways. The first thing is make a plan. 5-year plan, 3-year plan, 10-year plan, whatever. That's the first thing, and it's a static thing. It's like, well, this is the plan, this is the Gantt chart, and this is what we're going to do. And that works for a lot of stuff, but here it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work for sustainability because we don't really know where that's all going. What is the future energy scenario? Is it renewable energies? Is it smart cities? Is it how's this all going to work? Is it storage of energy? We don't know. What happens with digital? I mean, it's changing all the time. There's new tools available. Everything's changing. So we need to have a different mindset. And this is what we're struggling with at that time when we start thinking about this. And that's where you come into this idea that obviously is the theme here. Well, you kind of have to start getting going and doing things to be able to work out what it is you're going to do. You have to get started. You have to do it. And they say, you have to do that. And you have to do it both from sustainability and a digitalization point of view. That's what we found. Now we're in an enviable position in the sense that the products that we make are basically heat exchangers, heat transfer equipment and separation equipment. It's saving energy and it's cleaning up waste and controlling pollution. So we're off to a decent start when it comes to sustainability. And we can contribute to almost all of these, maybe not all of them, there's a few maybe missing, but all these UN sustainability goals, we have a role to play in all of these, whether you're saving energy or reducing waste or whatever it is. So we're off to a good start there. Again, it needs to be built into each and every business's strategy and forced in, but you can do that with this one, with sustainability, because we have the right conditions from the beginning. So I'm not going to talk so much about sustainability. I'm going to talk about the big elephant, digitalization, which scares people, of course, a little bit. And it's even worse when it's not existential. You know, if your business is not threatened, it's worse, actually. Because it's like, what's going on? There's little bits going on around you and eating away slowly. So we said, okay, let's see if we could take a slightly different approach to this. We want to try a different approach. We thought about, well, we can bring the consultants in. That's one way to go. You can do the sort of, set up a shed, put 50, geeky, nerdy data analytic people, put them all there and get them to do it. You take care of our digitalization. Different ways to do it. We thought, well, if we could run a few pilots here and there, put our toe in the work, how should we do this? And we said, no. Let's try this in a very different way. And we started down this track of agile, sprints, experimentation. And we said, well, okay, why don't we just release the power of the organization? Everyone's got lots of ideas. Instead of trying to make a 5-year plan and make a Gantt chart and follow it up with a steering committee and do our normal thing, why don't we just let the organization do whatever they think is right to do? So we said, okay, let's do it. One thing we did learn, though, and we did insist upon, and here I got in trouble, but when we hired our new CIO, I said to him, during his interview, I said to him, the last people we want involved in the digital journey is the IT department. And he was like, what do you mean? But there is something in that. I mean, what you're doing with an IT roadmap is different to what you're trying to do with digital. And we wanted to separate the two of them. I actually corrected it because then when I started talking to the wider company, the finance people also started getting involved. And I went back to the CIO and I said, the second worst people to bring into the digital transformation journey are the IT department. So he was happy then, so that was fine. But this is important that we separate the two. There's two different things, absolutely interdependent on each other, of course, but we need space. We need space on this side, and we need structure, and we need planning on the other side. But one doesn't work without the other. One's all about infrastructure and architecture and all the rest of it. The other one is much more to do with the business and business models and how we're going to, not just make things efficient, but make things make more money. So it's a slightly different view of this. And it needs a lot of freedom over here, and it needs a lot of control over there, which is why I say don't get the IT people involved. So that's sort of what we've been trying to do. And so in another picture here is to say, look, let the IT people get on with it. They all this, how the hell are we going to sort out all the data? That's the biggest challenge for any legacy company like we are. Well, let them work on all of that and let them work with all the sort of, the new systems that are needed and the infrastructure and the architecture around everything that we can then eventually, hopefully, plug our digital ideas into. Let them get on with that, but don't stop doing other stuff in the meantime. So, for our stuff, it's things like connected products. It's got everything to do with online business. It's of course, smart manufacturing, 3D printing and robotics and all that stuff. But let that carry on, and don't build it into this program, because it will kill it completely. So that's sort of how we sort of first approached it. Of course, you can't have complete chaos. as much as it's tempting, you need to kind of pull things together a little bit. So this is where I'm going to speak, and I'm not going to show pictures because this is what we're actually doing. Some of the other pictures are how we're kind of going about it, but this is what we're actually doing. So we've got 5 buckets, basically. You've got the online presence of the company. You've got the online sales. So how do you actually do e-business and e-commerce and all the rest of it, plus all the connection to the leads that you got from online presence. And then you've got connectivity, one way or another, different types of connectivity. Connected product, autonomous products, self-correcting performance products, all this stuff, and all the data related to that. Then you've got building up a capability related to artificial intelligence, as well as data analytics of various different kinds. That's a 4th bucket. And then the last bucket I just mentioned is really to do with the supply chain. So robotics, 3D printing, and where does all this fit into our sort of world? So we arrange these 5 buckets, and we say, just go. Everybody, all the business units, everybody, just go do what you think. We do it slightly differently. We're controlling to some degree, the sort of width of the freedom to some degree when it comes to the online presence, for example, because there is one website, so there's only one way into the company in that sense. So we have some people that, but we took an external person in and said, like, you drive this, and but let the organization go. Similarly with online sales. If you think your product is good for Alibaba, or you think your product could be on Amazon, you could do whatever you think. Just do it, and we'll sort out the back end somehow for that. As many as we can do, we'll do. But it's coordinated by somebody. So there's one person who sits in the central part of the organization and says, well, it's not complete freedom. We need, for example, we do need the back office to work. We do need the invoicing and the supply chain to be able to pick it and deliver it and all that. But also we can't do too many. So there's some control over it. Connected products, the same. Whatever you think would be a good idea, go for it. Think about it, but just one thing, make sure you've got a sort of business model connected to it. Not just connecting it because it's nice to be connected. But what's the value of the data? How are you going to sell this? Is this then a subscription, or what is this? And we've got a group that makes sure that there's a sort of common platform for analyzing data and using the data. So we have that centralized a little bit. But again, not really controlling, just sort of keeping it together. On the artificial intelligence and data analytics side, we did something completely different. This is the best area for the not invented here people. Because there's no chance any of that can be invented here, in our case. It can't be invented here. Nobody knows how to do data analytics or machine learning or artificial intelligence. And they don't want to know either. Better to keep them doing what they're doing. So here we went outside. And we said, to all the business, we'll have 3 selection days, and you pitch your idea for a machine learning idea or some kind of artificial intelligence idea. And what we'll do is we'll take a project team and we'll put them somewhere else. In our case, we went to Ideon in Lund because it's a good place. There's lots of ponytails, lots of good coffee, and there's lots of startup companies. It's a good environment. So we say we take it out, and you have to be careful with this because you don't want to alienate everybody. But we took them out of the organization and we stuck them there. So we have 3 projects running there in Ideon. And so they pitched, and the ones we thought were the best, and actually the ones that were the most digital, we said the ones that could most likely not be done inside the company, we say put them out there. So they weren't out there. So we have one with artificial intelligence, text recognition. We have one with data mining related to our install base. And another one of just monitoring and looking at the whole history of all the orders that have ever been placed on our company and looking for trends. Like this customer's about to buy a hell of a lot more. This customer's about to disappear. So you can do this sort of stuff. So those have now been running for a while, and we like that. And then the fifth one, was the whole thing about smart manufacturing. There we went a little bit more traditional. We did bring in BCG for some of it, and said help us with what all the other companies are doing. So we had a little bit more control because they're operations people, and they also they like IT people. They like control. So we control them a little bit more. But it's also expensive, like hell, those sort of things. So that's how we did it. You know, we just said, look, just go. What we then said was, okay, after a couple of years, we've done a good job. We've got the IT roadmap going. It's doing its own thing. It's over there. And then we said, well, we probably need something that just keeps a little bit of an eye on all of this chaos. I mean, these connected products, we have like 90 pilots out there across all the business in all kinds of different businesses. Well, maybe we should just kind of do a bit of learning from each other. Maybe we should pull it back together again. So then we put up something which we call the Digital Acceleration Team. And this is, again, it's not a formal structure. What we're trying to do here is have something that is more organic. So their idea, we brought a couple of consultants in. They're running it for us. We have all internal people. And this is the only way, if I can speak openly, to get to the younger people in the organization that are not necessarily in management positions, but no more than the people who are in management positions. You've probably heard about this before. So there's a generation issue, but this is a way to go way in, deep into the organization and find out the people that are excited by this and to get some going. So this is kind of like a less than formal approach, but we keep it separate from the IT. So it's kind of a team of teams sort of approach. So you have a group, completely cross-functional. So all the different type of representing sales and service and finance and legal and manufacturing and all kinds of different things. And then they go out into their organization and they create their network also. So we can send messages out through this, but we can also get lots of feedback in from people who actually know. People who actually have got a ponytail and like this stuff. And it's great from that perspective also, because the two things are connected, this digital and sustainability, and the fact that, why would anyone want to work for a metal bashing, boring old Swedish engineering company like Alfa Laval? Well, when it's sustainability and it's digitalization, oh, boop. And when they get recognized by being in this team, and then they say, okay, well, now things are happening. Okay, it's good. I like this. So this we feel is good. There's a couple of people in the room who are involved in this, but they don't want me to name them. But ask me later, I'll tell you. The other thing about this there's two things about this sort of digital acceleration team approach. Very organic, sort of fluid. You've got to be able to think far ahead in a way to inspire yourself about what this might all be like, but you can't make a plan for 2030. You can't really work that way. So we do this kind of base camp approach where you come back and you say, well, okay, well, if that's what's going to happen there, what would have already happened in 2023? And if that's the case, what can we do now to aim to get to 2023? So you get it back down to a little bit more practical stuff. And this is quite important, because otherwise it becomes very, very fluffy. All the fluffy stuff is up there. The other thing is, with the approach we're taking, you've got the line across the bottom is achievements. That's quite easy to make happen. Lots of individual spots in the organization doing very good stuff individually. But what it's not doing is it's not doing anything for this. It's not bringing the capability and the competence into the company. So we've got to find a way to get the two things going. So when we have these activities going, that's again what this digital team is saying. Well, okay, how can we spread that across? How can we make sure we learn from that? Which is basically the same thing you can do with 5 or 6 other products or whatever it might be, or 5 or 6 other markets. So we get that capability or competence up as well. Get that up. Because there's a big risk that you just do lots of individual islands and you don't get the competence of the company. Because one thing you do know is when you get here, the roles and the competencies and the capabilities of all the people that are in the company are completely different than they are today. Completely different. And it's very difficult to change this overnight when you realize, oops, none of these people can do any of this. Then you have a problem. So what we are now doing, this is very current actually, what we're now doing, for example, is to say, okay, we did all the little experiments with the pilots and all this going out there, but now we start to say, okay, well, this is a transformation going on here in terms of competence and capabilities. Let's do some visualization experiments. So when we look at 2030, what is that going to actually mean for us? And so here we have another 5, we like 5. What is it like? What is the day in the life of a field service engineer, for example, in 2030? What does that look like? Does the person that does that kind of job today, is that person likely to transition into that kind of role, or is it a completely different set of competencies that are needed? And we know the answer to that. It's not going to be a blue-collar kind of, overalls and spanners kind of person. It's going to be a very digital person. It's going to be connected. The products are all going to be connected. There's going to be information that they're going to be able to see. They're going to need to up and down and see the process, and they can read through all the data of how the products has been performing. It's a completely different job. Similarly, with a salesperson. What does the day in the life of a salesperson look like in 2030 in a digital environment? Well, firstly, the customers already checked everything out that you currently are doing today. You know, your catalog. Yeah, I know your catalog. Yeah, this is what it features. Yeah, I know all that. Price. Yeah, I know that too. So what is the when they're making the decision, what is it that the salesperson is then supposed to do? And what is the person selling? Are they selling a product, or are they selling a subscription, or what are they selling? Are they selling data? What are they selling? Exactly. Security, confidence, they're talking about, different values than they might be talking about today. And then you say, okay, well, say I'm a product, right? I'm a product. In 2030, I'm a product. What's my life like as a product? Well, I'm sitting there and I'm autonomous, basically. I can sit there and I can order my own spare parts. I can change my operation because, the input is different from I expected, so I just adjust slightly. So I know exactly what do I need? And how do we work with that? When you get to things like sustainability, there's such an influence of sustainability by the time we're at 2030 that everyone needs to prove what the sustainability impact is on their process or whatever they're doing in life. Are we able to do that today? No. Can we prove that it's compliant? Can we prove that this is the energy that's been saved? Is this the CO2 that's been saved? The emissions have been reduced by this much. Can we prove that the water has been saved? Can we do all of that? Well, we're going to have to when we get to 2030. So we have to go there and come back and look at it. How are we going to do that? And then we have an office. So we're having a discussion a couple of weeks back with the people who run all the sales offices and service offices around the world. They're clustered up and they sell and serve. What does that office look like, actually, in 2030? Is there an office? Is there actually an office or not? I mean, maybe there isn't even an office. Or at least it's not one office in every single sort of town and maybe it's more regional, maybe it's back off, maybe there's a lot of call center type people are more like chat desk technical support type people. How does that change? And do those people, are they the same people as today? Probably not. Order handlers? No. Customer service, ordering parts? No. Not going to be there. Inside salesperson? No, not quite the same. So all of this changes. And so we've visualized all of this and we try to get going now. So we have some projects where we're doing our experiments. We're trying to do our little, lean and agile and all the rest of it and try and get this going now. And when we are recruiting or changing somebody, well, let's bear this in mind. And give us a week of 10 years. Let's get going now. Let's start changing the competencies already now. Let's do it. Get going. Don't sit and wait. So that's kind of where we are. I mean, the main thing we're doing is creating almost like a movement in the company. By spreading it down. I mean, leave the executive management, leave them out of it. They have no clue. Get the stuff down here. Get them all in there. But of course, we in the management are doing this deliberately because this is the only way forward. This is the way to go. Get it spread. And this will make Alfa Laval a more exciting and a more interesting place for them to work also. And then we have to come back to our old friends IT, who we thought had gone away out the room, but they're still there because we need them. And we somehow have to put these two things together because that infrastructure has all got to be lined up with all these lovely ideas we have on the digital side. So we try to put the two together, and then we get to a new Alfa Laval, as we call it here. That perhaps one day looks like this. It's a completely different world. Everything that's going on is there, it's our reality, and we took our time, but we got there. That's what we're kind of hoping for. Is he still giving me one more minute? No. So yeah, so that's kind of where we are. The sustainability part is very much part of our story, and then the digitalization is also very important for us. Even if it won't kill us tomorrow, we need to get go with it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex Sayed. You have to stay on the stage for a moment, because one thing has not been said. Thank you, by the way, for giving us proper English.
Oh, yes.
As the first native-speaking Englishman on the stage. It's wonderful.
Tack så mycket.
You did not comment on the fact that Alfa Laval has been a customer of Ortelius for a decade.
Yeah.
And you're running in Origo, the knowledge platform. So, short, brief comment.
So what I was thinking was that if I didn't say anything, this would be the first question, and then I wouldn't get any other questions.
Okay, good.
So
This is the question.
But if you think about it, what we have is we have a platform with Ortelius or in Origo, which connects basically our products and our applications and our customers and our industries together. So whenever we are looking for any of these type of solutions, we have that as a tool to connect everything together, and we can see it. So if you imagine trying to work in that organic sort of style, well, this is the perfect thing for that, because there you've got, I'm going to do this. Okay, what product is it? What industry is it? And what applications are we talking about here? And then you can start to see it, and you can map it out. And if we connect it, which we have the ambition, right, Daniel, to connect it to our financial system also, we can also then really track it from history, and we can predict it, because we can say, well, here's the potential for this. We can see, well, how much money is this? How much is this going to be worth? You know, how much would this normally be worth in terms of sales or service or whatever? So it's extremely good as a sort of, you know, a background or
it is part of your digitalization process, this, and you're a veteran. Not you, but
well, I am also.
Using the Origo platform, you are actually a veteran using this platform. Yes. What benefits has it given you? I mean, really short, the primary benefits that you have reaped.
Well, I think it's we're like many other companies, I would say, in that we have our legacy of our systems and our data is a mess. It really is a mess, and we're not a single product, single industry type of company. We have multiple products, and we have multiple industries, and multiple ways of doing business, whether it be a part or a system or a plant or whatever. We have multiple ways of doing that, and this really is the only possible way that you can connect things up, that you can get a view of it. So it's a visibility, I would say, mostly, and it's also a sort of support for making decisions. I would say that would be the two main things.
Fantastic, long experience. So finally, it is a junior DTO. It's a little boy or girl growing up. It's becoming a DTO.
It is. Perhaps. I would say so. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alex Sayed, Vice President Corporate Development with Alfa Laval. Thank you.